contribution of agriculture to the national economy. Hello dear students of class 10th, welcome to geography class. I hope all of you are doing well. Students, in this video I shall be continuing with the 4th chapter of geography, that is agriculture. Students, in the previous video I had explained you about the contribution of agriculture to the national economy. I explained you that the agriculture sector, even though the majority of population is engaged in this sector, but still this sector is not able to contribute up to that level to the national economy. It is actually the contribution of agriculture to the national economy is declining. Then I explained you the reasons that why this is so, why this is declining. Now I am going to explain you the steps taken by the government to improve the situation. So I am going to explain you about the steps taken by the government. See, the government took several steps in order to improve this situation because the share of agriculture sector to the national economy is continuously declining. So in order to improve the situation, improve the scenario, the government took several steps. See, the government established the Indian Council of Agricultural Research, that is ICAR. Now what is this? What is the work of ICAR? See, ICAR sees how the agriculture sector can be developed, what changes can be brought, in order to have some positive development. Then the establishment of animal breeding centers, horticulture development. Now what is horticulture development? See, I explained you while I was explaining you the major crops. Horticulture means growing vegetables and fruits. So horticulture development, then veterinary services, then research and development in the field of meteorological areas, then weather forecast, they were given priority to improve the agriculture sector. And not only this, rural infrastructure was also given importance. So these steps were taken by the government in order to improve the scenario. The news bulletins, several programs were launched on television so that the farmers, they can benefit from those programs, so that they could be up to date regarding the method how to do agriculture in order to obtain maximum result or maximum production. So this was done by the government in order to improve the share of agriculture in the national economy. So I hope that till here the points are clear to everybody. Now students, I shall explain you about the impact of globalization on agriculture. So this is the topic that I am going to explain you now. Now students, if I talk about globalization, then this is not a new term, this is not a new phenomenon. You are already familiar with this term, globalization. So what is this? See, globalization means growing interdependence of the world's economies, cultures and population, brought about by cross-borders trade in goods and services, technology and flow of investment, people and information. In simple words, I can say that trading on a global level is called globalization. Okay, importing, exporting, we are exporting our goods, our crops, our spices to different countries, and we are buying their products. So this is called globalization. That means expanding the market globally, not only within the nation but beyond the borders. This is called globalization. That means trading on a global level. trading on a global standard is called as globalization. Now students, as I told you that this is not a new concept. Why this is not a new concept? Because we are doing this, we have been doing this years before, since years before. Now how? If I talk about the 19th century, then you know, in the 19th century, when European traders, when they came to India, then Indian spices, they were exported to different countries and foreign products. I'm saying it again. You know, in the 19th century, when European traders, when they came to India, then Indian spices, they were exported to different countries. That means the Indian spices, they were greatly demanded in the foreign countries, and as a result of which our spices, they were exported to the foreign countries. Students, not only are spices, but let me talk about cotton also. You know, cotton was also exported to Britain as raw. Cotton was also exported to Britain as raw material for their textile industries. And you know, this flourished the cotton textile industry in Manchester and Liverpool because of the availability of good cotton from India. Since cotton was exported, India had good quality of cotton, so cotton was exported to Britain, as a result of which it flourished the cotton textile industry in Manchester and Liverpool. Why? Because of the availability of good cotton, because the quality of cotton was very good. So the cotton of India flourished the industry of Britain. Also students, if you remember the Champaran movement in 1917, the Champaran movement in 1917 in Bihar, you know, that time the farmers were forced to grow indigo for the textile industry in Britain. So they were really forced to do all this so that the indigo can be exported to their land, to Britain. And you know, in 1990, the farmers were exposed to challenges. They were really exposed. Now why? Why they were exposed to challenges? See, despite being an important producer of several crops like wheat, rice, cotton, tea, coffee, the beverages, you know, our agricultural products, they were not able to, or I would say they are not able to compete with the products of developed countries. Even though we exported so much, because of our products, the industry of the foreign industries, they flourished. But still we were not able to compete with the foreign products. Now why we were not able to compete with the foreign products? As I told you in the previous video regarding the subsidy, because the subsidy provided to the foreign farmers, they were very high. They were provided very high subsidy, as a result of which their products were cheap and they were sold in the market. Definitely if the product is cheap, you will be willing to buy that product. And if I talk about the Indian farmers, then the subsidy provided to the farmers for the production purpose, that was relatively very less. So if expenditure will be more, then definitely the price will go high, and if expenditure will be less, then price will remain less. So that is why they were able to, the foreigners, they were able to sell their products at cheap price, as a result of which we used to buy them, and our products were not sold. Why? Because of our expenditure, because the expenditure was very high, because the subsidy provided by the government on the products was relatively very low. Why? Because our population, a majority of our population is dependent on agriculture, and our population is so much, it is huge. So, and our country is developing country, it is not a developed country. So government is not able to provide that much subsidy that is provided by the foreign countries, by the foreign governments to their people. So as a result of which we are not able to compete in the foreign market. So this is the impact of globalization on agriculture, on Indian farmers. And you know students, this is the reason why Indian agriculture is on crossroads. See, our population is huge, the income of the farmers is declining. Why it is declining? Because the land holding is relatively very less because of right of inheritance. We are getting small plots of land, the land is divided, as a result of which land is less, and if land will be less, then production will also be less. So that is why the Indian agriculture is on crossroads. We are not able to compete with the foreign market, with the international market. We are not able to compete globally, even though we are the largest producer of several products. We are exporting our products in different countries, and because of our products, because of our raw materials, their industries are flourishing. But still we are not able to compete in the foreign market because of all these reasons. So there has to be a solution. It is mandatory to have solution. So what has the government done, or what steps have been taken by the government to improve this situation? There were several steps that were taken by the government to improve this scenario. Let me tell you about the first step. I think you must have heard about Green Revolution. What happened in Green Revolution? HYV seeds were used in order to increase the production of food grains. Now what do you mean by HYV seeds? High yield variety of seeds. That means modern inputs were used. The fertilizers, pesticides, insecticides, they were used in order to increase the production. Modern source of irrigation were used, like canals, tube wells. They were used in order to enhance production. And let me tell you that because of the modern technology, the production increased and it showed satisfactory results. And in some parts, the results were really very impressive. It was highly successful. But even though it was successful, this was under certain controversies. Now why this Green Revolution, even though this was very successful, or this is very successful, why this was under certain controversies? See, first of all, because of excessive use of chemicals, because of excessive use of the inputs, the cost of crops went high. Because these HYV seeds, these are very expensive. So if these seeds will be used, if modern irrigation will be used, then automatically the price of the food crops will increase. So this is one reason that why this was neglected in several parts of the country. Then because of the overuse of chemicals, the problem of land degradation popped up. See, excessive chemicals were used in order to produce more, in order to grow more, and as a result of which the chemicals, the fertilizers, they degraded land, they ruined land, they decreased the natural fertility of land to a large extent. So that is why these are the reasons why Green Revolution was not undertaken by and so these are the reasons why Green Revolution was only practiced in certain areas, not in the complete country. So this was actually a successful revolution, but there were certain controversies that were attached to it. So what is the alternative, or what are the alternatives of Green Revolution? Without the use of chemicals, without the use of fertilizers, how production can be enhanced? See, there are several alternatives through which the production can be enhanced. So let me explain you the first alternative. So the first alternative is Gene Revolution. Instead of Green Revolution, there came Gene Revolution. That means genetic revolution. Now what is this genetic revolution? See, the main aim of genetic revolution was to change the genetics of crops. That means genetic alteration or genetic modification needs to be done. That means with the help of genetic engineering, characteristics of genes could be improved. That means not adding something external, not adding something externally, rather inheriting something internally, like not giving water to plant instead of giving water and several other things to plants, to build the capacity of plants so that the plant could grow. That means the genes can be improved, the unit has to be improved. This is called genetic revolution. So with the help of genetic engineering, this was done. So this was one alternative. Then second alternative was organic farming. See, in green revolution, a lot of chemicals, fertilizers, pesticides, they were used, as a result of which the negative impacts were there. The land was degraded, the natural fertility of the soil was completely ruined. So organic farming came. This was also one alternative. In organic farming, no modern chemicals were used. By using the natural mineral powder, compost and green manure, farming and production can be done in this. That means without the use of synthetic chemical fertilizers and pesticides, production can be done. Because in green revolution, because of excessive use of chemicals, the land was degraded, right? So this is also one of the alternatives of green revolution. Then next one is diversification of cropping pattern. Now what is this diversification of cropping pattern? See, that diversification means not restricting or growing only single crop. That means not only growing cereals, wheat, rice, sugarcane, but also horticulture crops were promoted. The medicinal herbs were promoted. Flour, biodiesel crops like jojoba, they were promoted, as they needed much less irrigation was needed than rice and sugarcane. See, rice is a water intensive crop. A lot of water is required in order to grow rice. So diversification of cropping pattern is also one alternative. We can grow several products which require less water, which can be grown in less water also. And you know, all this will increase the income and reduce environmental degradation. It will not cause environmental pollution. It will not ruin or spoil the environment, and crops can be grown naturally without the use of synthetic chemicals. So I hope that this topic is clear to everybody. Not only this topic, all the topics are clear to everybody. I have explained all the topics to you, and in the next video I'll be explaining you the question answers and the exercises part. I'll explain you in the next video. Till then, thank you so much. Revise your lessons well, and I'll meet you in the next video with the explanation of the exercises. Thank you so much, students. Stay safe.